Welcome back to round 4 of the 2017 Pokemon Regional Championships here in not so sunny anymore Orlando, Florida. It looks like somebody left their Kyogre outside, unfortunately.
Yeah, we just say if you're bored of the weather in Florida, you can just wait 5 minutes and you'll get a new weather. So this happens every afternoon and the tourists still complain every single day.
All right, so I'm still Gabby Snyder. I'm still here with Adam Dorricott, and we have an amazingly hype match to bring you guys this round. It is Devin versus Ashton, the guy who got second in seniors last year versus, I think Ashton's pretty
well known.
Ashton's pretty well known.
We're carrying on our theme of in-state versus out-of-state. Devin, of course, being a local player. He plays actually with his dad quite often, which is very fun. We enjoy locally. We go to Premier Challenges. His dad Mike plays, and we've never actually seen him play his son yet, so we couldn't quite get that one. We did get him to play Ashton, though, who I've been informed there was a wicked whisper in the event hall today that there was some joys and delights on Ashton's team, so I can't wait to explore them. I wonder if Devin's quite as excited as we are.
I mean, Ashton, for those of you who might remember, Florida last year brought a Eviolite Pikachu. I believe it was also a cosplay Pikachu, actually, to the game, and it was just a delight to commentate over. So I am really excited to see what his team has to bring to the table.
Yeah, we're gonna just they're taking a moment to get set up, and I believe check their Twitter, which isn't what they're meant to be doing. But we're not gonna hound them for it. Just looking at the teams before we dive in and have a chat about them. Is there one player you think that's really got the upper hand here for any reason?
I don't know. I mean, I am leaning slightly towards Ashton because I know that what he brings, he can play it really well. And to answer that question, what did he bring? Kangaskhan, Gyarados, Groudon, Gardevoir, Crobat, and Kyogre versus Devin's Kangaskhan, Bronzong, Hitmontop, Thundurus, Groudon, and Xerneas. So one fairly standard team and one not so much.
Yeah, we have a pretty standard team coming out on Devin's side of the field. The Zerndon, not so catchy as some of the other names, but it's a thing. Obviously, Bronzong, very popular. Kangaskhan getting numerous uses throughout the year. It's never really dropped off. So, I think a fairly safe team from Devin. So we'll just jump on over to Ashton's team right now.
Let's talk a little bit about what Ashton's bringing.
Down. So the important thing to note is there is a sensible restricted core in here. I say sensible, what I mean is well known. It's got the dual primal core of Kyogre and Groudon, so lots of ways to change the weather. If he wants rain, though, he has to be quite smart and bring it himself. Let's just tuck in. Obviously, Kangaskhan we see pretty, known quantity Kangaskhan right about now. I think it would be rather odd if somebody decided to change up Kangaskhan and maybe run it a little bit differently, but if there's anyone who's going to do it, it's going to be Ashton.
Definitely, and that Gardevoir honestly is confusing me a little bit on his team because I think Gardevoir was most popular in the 2015 format where it was known as a very, popular attacker. It almost looks like Ashton has his team set up for it to be like a support role here.
Yeah, and the other thing as well is, although it may not be as invested in attacking as you'd like to think, if there's a Xerneas on the field, such as the one Devin is bringing, it can, of course, use Pixelate and the Fairy Aura from that side of the field to do way more damage than you anticipate. I mean, it would be safe to say if you manage to get Pixelate going, and, of course, the Fairy Aura as well, Devin could end up getting more than he bargained for in this sort of game.
Yeah, I mean, that's also assuming that the Gardevoir is Mega. We'll just have to see what Ashton brings. He did lead his Kangaskhan Groudon against Devin's Kangaskhan and Thundurus. So both players bringing their Kangaskhan to the field. We are going to see Groudon set up that Sunlight right off the bat. And, let's get this started.
Yeah, I think, we do see the Kangaskhan's matching up. Usually we do see that often. They're going to match up. They're going to try and exchange fake-outs. But Devin's kind of in a bit of a pickle here because the Thundurus can't do anything against the Groudon. There's very little it can do. I mean, unless you're feeling really big and really brave, you could maybe swagger it, hope it hits itself for absolutely huge damage. But I feel like, just having that Groudon there puts a lot of pressure on Devin. Devin, of course, has to consider faking out the Groudon, and then that leaves the Kangaskhan on Ashton's side of the field free. So I feel just a slightly stronger lead from Ashton doesn't mean there's not a way for Devin to play out of it, of course.
Definitely, and we'll have to see, what kind of Groudon this is. Sometimes with double primals, you'll see Groudon do a little bit different things because you do have the security of having that second Pokemon to provide the weather if needed. So we're going to get this turn started with a Thundurus. It's switching out, and we're actually seeing Devin switch in his own Groudon, which I think is a very interesting play. You don't really see Groudon switch in on each other because though, Precipice Blades would have been a sort of a different play, I think, from Ashton here, given the fact that Thunderous was flying and, there is the possibility for fake out on the field. Certainly a very gutsy move by Devin. Fake out into the Groudon on Devin's side of the field, and Kangaskhan goes for an Icy Wind, which really punishes that Groudon switch in, because now there's a very high likelihood that Ashton's Groudon outspeeds Devin's.
So, we don't often see Icy Wind on Kangaskhan.
I don't think I've ever seen Icy Wind on a Kangaskhan.
Which would lead me to believe that the little birdies and wicked whisperers in the event hall today have fed me good information that this Kangaskhan is decidedly different. I would be interested to see what Devin does in response to this, because it's not what he was expecting at all.
Definitely not. I don't think anybody goes into a lead like this and thinks, oh yeah, that Kangaskhan is definitely going to Icy Wind, without a doubt.
Yeah, with the Icy Wind, though, that would be the perfect time for Devin to have a Trick Room setter come in. He does have the Bronzong that could do that for him. So if he's bought it, it might be the time to get it in. It's unlikely he's bought it. We've seen 3 of his Pokemon. So the last one could likely just be the Xerneas. I'd be curious to see if he goes to try and set that up.
Yeah, and something else interesting to note, neither of those Kangaskhan Mega evolved that last turn. We do see Ashton switch his out in favor of that Gyarados, so probably looking to pick up and Intimidate on both Groudon and Kangaskhan. Though it won't last for long, that Groudon is switching out as well, and Thunderous is coming in its place, so if Devin made a read there, that was actually quite excellent. We do see the Kangaskhan on Devin's side of the field Mega Evolve this turn, getting ready to potentially deal some massive damage. That Intimidate will certainly stop it a little bit, though. Double Edge targeting, I believe, yep, there it goes, that Groudon. It's not going to deal a lot of damage. That Groudon looks like it is very bulky. Kangaskhan taking a large amount of HP damage in response, and Groudon finishing up this turn with an Eruption. Doesn't pick up the knockout, but, activates Thunderous's Citrus Berry and certainly deals a ton of damage.
Yeah, it's really good that Devin manages to get the damage down on Groudon, because if he didn't do that first amount of damage, Eruption would have been likely to pick up a knockout on Kangaskhan, if not a knockout on Thunderous as well. So really smart play from Devin there. We do see the Gyarados coming in from Ashton. Very curious, not something we've seen this year. We didn't see the Kangaskhan Mega Evolve on Ashton's side of the field. Obviously, Gyarados has the ability to Mega Evolve, so could be interesting to see if that's what's holding the Mega Stone, and that's what Mega Evolves on Ashton's field.
Yeah, I mean, looking at Ashton's team, I think I've seen a few Gyarados sets where they're extremely bulky and carry Citrus Berry, so it's possible that that's maybe what we see. Gyarados, okay, Gyarados does Mega Evolve. Wow, that was unexpected. I don't think I've seen a Mega Gyarados in this format at all. It does get Bolt Breaker, so it can, I believe, attack Pokemon through Levitate, which should be interesting. Not really relevant right now, though. Ghost Ray Protect does not take any damage from that Thunderous. Double Edge once again into that Groudon. It's going to bring it down into what almost looks like a 3-hit KO range if Kangaskhan were to attack again. Fire Punch, though, no, actually going for that Thunderous and picking up the knockout on it instead. I think Ashton was trying to protect the Gyarados.
Yeah, everything here is about, if that's the Mega Pokemon he's bought, we saw it back in 2014, obviously on Sage Park's Worlds winning team. The Gyarados was the focal point of that team, and I feel every team you bring a Mega Gyarados to, you really have to keep it safe. So getting rid of the Thunderous, which if it carries Thunderbolt is going to be able to do big damage to it, is probably one of the biggest threats off the field. It does pick up the Dark typing when it Mega Evolves though, so it's not in the clear yet, as we do see the Xerneas come down on Devin's side of the field.
Yeah, definitely a strong switch in on Devin's part. I believe that Xerneas will probably threaten Gyarados enough to force a switch, unless Ashton has something else tricky up his sleeve.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Gyarados. Obviously, it's Mega Evolved, so if it does switch out and come back in, it doesn't get the benefit of Intimidate like it would usually. But I feel like, Ashton's still got a good position. He's still confusing Devin a little bit, but we do see Devin not really worried about it, just kicking off the turn with Geomancy.
Yeah, not worried at all. We see Devin go straight for that Geomancy, picking up that +2 special attack, +2 special defense, and +2 speed boost. That'll certainly make it a huge threat to Gyarados and also to that Groudon as well to a certain extent. Gyarados, though, getting its own boost, going for a Dragon Dance. So it'll get a +1 attack boost and a +1 speed boost. Double Edge from that Kangaskhan. Who's it going to target? It targets that Groudon, and it looks like it's going to be close. It does pick up that knockout.
Yeah, well, there will, of course, be the recoil coming in from that double edge, so be interested to see if it does enough to knock it out, and it does. So what he's actually done there is he's just traded Groudon for the Kangaskhan, and of course Devin gets the switch in now, and Ashton gets the switch in, so be curious to see which they bring.
Yeah, it's not only that he traded it for Kangaskhan, traded it for the Groudon as well, but he did get that Geomancy ability up on Xerneas, and looking at what Ashton has on his side of the field, I mean, he's able to fake out the Xerneas for this one turn, but Gyarados can't use any water-type attacks against Groudon, and I don't know, it looks like Ashton's in kind of a rough spot.
I think it looks like a rough spot for Ashton now. Obviously, both his Pokemon are threatened. He doesn't really have a great way to, wear that Groudon down, and the Xerneas can bring a lot of offensive pressure in just knocking out the Gyarados. Kangaskhan won't be able to Mega Evolve either, so it doesn't get that really nice, healthy stat boost it would usually get. So it's going to be tough. The one good saving grace for Ashton, though, is he does have the Pokemon advantage, and in this dual Primal team, it's highly likely that his remaining Pokemon is the Kyogre. So now Devin's shown the Groudon as one of his last two. Kyogre is safe to come in, set the reign, and really limit the offensive output that we could expect to see from Devin's Groudon here.
Yeah, so it's all going to come down to how Ashton plays this turn and how Devin responds. We don't see a Kyogre switch. Instead, we see that Groudon going for a Protect, trying to see what Ashton's going to do here. Ashton, though, making the read, getting the fake out onto Xerneas. It gets a crit, so it does a little bit more damage, and Gyarados, so brave, Gyarados going for the second Dragon Dance, so it's now also at +2 speed and +2 attack. I don't know what's going on in this game anymore. This is nuts.
Well, it is only Saturday afternoon.
It is only Saturday afternoon.
It's only Saturday afternoon. I think it's safe to say that Gyarados has Saturday night fever, because he's ready to go out, he's ready to dance, and although he can't do much with it now, I feel with some careful switching around from Ashton, obviously that Kangaskhan slot is the one that's likely to switch now. If he can get Kyogre in, the Primordial Sea will boost a potential waterfall. He will of course be free to attack the Groudon with that waterfall as well, so I really like that play coming out from Ashton. I just feel he's investing in something that's coming a couple of turns down the line.
Yeah, and it looks like that investment will continue at least a little bit. Gyarados protecting this turn. Moonblast into Kangaskhan. It survives. Oh my god. It gets a special attack drop, so its Icy Wind will not be as potent, but I think Ashton was definitely trying to use that to lower the speed of that Xerneas, so now it is only at +1 speed. There is a very good chance we're going to see that Gyarados outspeed Xerneas, and Kangaskhan dodges the Precipice Blades. I mean, I almost feel like Kangaskhan getting knocked out there and sending Kyogre in for free might have been more favorable, but I'm sure Ashton's fine taking that for one more turn.
Yeah, I was about to say, I feel like Ashton was actually looking to sack off his Kangaskhan. One very interesting thing that we should just touch on here is we did see the Moonblast connect to the Kangaskhan. Now, in every other instance we've seen throughout the past months and weeks and days, we do see Moonblast, after a Geomancy, will knock out a Mega Kangaskhan. So, if I had the Sherlock pipe, I'd pop it in right now and go for it. I don't have the hat. But if I did, I would come to the conclusion that Kangaskhan may be holding an item that reduces special attack damage done to it.
Does that Kangaskhan have a fine vest on by any
I'd say
chance?
it's a dapper vest for this woman.
All right, well, we're going to see Kangaskhan come back in with that vest later. Kyogre taking the field in its place, so now Ashton has the speed control I think he wanted. I think he definitely has the weather that he needs to win this match. Gyarados is going to use that waterfall targeting Xerneas, actually not targeting the Groudon, and it gets the knockout. It did crit. I'm not sure if that mattered. I mean, it is at +2 attack, and the range is up. So, that could have done a massive amount of damage regardless. Precipice Blades from that Groudon gets a crit onto the Kyogre, but, given the fact that Groudon is at lowered speed, we know that Gyarados is going to be faster. I think this still seals up the game in Ashton's favor.
Yeah, I feel like it's a bit of a consolation knockout there for Devin. He does get to take out that Kyogre as soon as it comes in. But now, Ashton gets to bring in the Kangaskhan, which isn't going to be protecting or doing anything defensive because of its dapper Garms. And of course, we'll be able to just fake out. And then Gyarados with the +2 from the two Dragon Dancers we've seen will be able to land a knockout onto this Groudon as soon as it can waterfall this turn.
Yeah, so Kangaskhan playing it safe. It fakes out the Groudon, and I believe Gyarados just went for another Dragon Dance. So Saturday Night Fever continues here, at least for one more turn.
Yeah, I mean, Ashton, it looks like he's styling on maybe BMing if you're that way inclined, but what he's actually looking to do as well is just to make sure that the waterfall will get the knockout with a +3 attack stat. I mean, obviously the sun's not up, but there's no rain boost to it too, so if it's a super bulky Gyarados, it may need that extra boost to get it over the hill, but Ashton's Weird and Wonderful just comes up again and seals him game 1.
Yeah, that was a really interesting team to watch, and I can only imagine, what's going through Devin's head right now. How do you adjust to something so, I guess, unique?
Well, I think there's a couple of ways Devin can do it. Obviously, Thunderous could be of a lot more use to him. He could bring maybe Thunder Wave onto the Gyarados, Thunder Wave or Thunderbolt or Crobat if it comes in. It could do some good damage against the Kyogre too, but obviously the Pokemon that Ashton showed it wasn't any good at, so it switched out, and then when it came back in, it was still under pressure a little bit. The other thing I think Devin could maybe adapt to is look at bringing that Bronzong. We have, of course, seen Ashton's team is using Icy Wind and Dragon Dance, so what Ashton's trying to do is get the speed advantage through kind of brute force here.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to see this. Once again, if you're just tuning in, Ashton is running Kangaskhan, Gyarados, Groudon, Gardevoir, Crobat, and Kyogre versus Devin's Kangaskhan, Bronzong, Hitmontop, Thundurus, Groudon, and Xerneas. Only time will tell how these trainers will adapt going into Game 2.
Yeah, I think the pressure's definitely on Devin to adapt here, obviously. He lost to the Weird and Wonderful, so he has to have an answer to the Weird and Wonderful, but once he beats that set of oddities, there's more oddities to come from Ashton's team. They really just don't stop coming. I'm curious to see if Devin's picked up on the item on that Kangaskhan, especially not seeing it Mega Evolve and seeing it take the Moonblast quite comfortably. Will Devin play a little bit differently, knowing that Kangaskhan is stuck with its original ability?
Yeah, and we also don't know Gyarados' fourth move. I think a lot of people might assume it's Crunch in this instance, but you know what? I believe Gyarados gets Earthquake, which would be an amazing move against Groudon. So we'll just have to see. I'm just excited. I really hope we see more of that Gyarados, and I hope maybe we'll see a little bit of Gardevoir as well. And there it is, actually. So my wish has just been granted. Gardevoir Crobat lead from Ashton, Groudon Hitmontop lead from Devin. You're right. I think we're gonna see a little bit more oddities.
Yeah, I love that Ashton's completely changed. He's changed 2 of the 4 already. So be interested to see which of the 2 he kept, which of the 2 he's decided to change. Actually. I really do like this lead from Ashton. I feel that there's not much Devin can do to answer it. Obviously, the inner focus means Crobat's going to be able to do whatever it wants. Could take a lot of damage, but it's still going to be able to set something up like a Tailwind. And then I'm very curious to see what Gardevoir has up its sleeve.
Yeah, we did see it reveal the Trace ability, which could have actually picked up on Hitmontop. It is just a 50-50 roll. Instead, it did get Drought, so we just got Sunlight, and then we got even worse Sunlight, I guess. But, going into Game 3, knowing that the potential is there to Trace that Intimidate might change how Devin goes into things, if we see Game 3.
Yeah, if we get to Game 3, then Trace could play a bigger part. I feel at the moment it's not going to be doing too much. But it's not bad position for either of these players. I think, obviously, there's a lot of potential damage coming out from Devin's side of the field. He could probably fake out Gardevoir and then just throw out a big damage move with the Groudon. But I feel like Ashton's, again, trying to set something up to catch Devin out later.
Yeah, we're going to see that Hitmontop switch out. Kangaskhan coming in its place. Oh, wow. Okay, so Gardevoir is actually going to Mega Evolve. There's at least 2 Mega Pokemon on this team, Gyarados and Gardevoir, protecting this turn. Probably not wanting to take a lot of damage or possibly trying to dodge that fake out from the Hitmontop. Crobat going for a Tailwind, so we know it's going to be, helping out the speed on Ashton's side of the field. Fire Punch from that Groudon into the protecting Gardevoir.
Yeah, nice turn for Ashton there when he gets the Tailwind up. That's all he got, but that's all he wanted. So he's now able to push on. The Gardevoir is going to be most likely moving first, able to do a lot of damage, and I feel like with perhaps a Super Fang coming in from the Crobat, then Gardevoir, although not recently known for the amount of offensive pressure it brings, will be able to push on and get some knockouts just by using the damage that comes from Super Fang.
Yeah, I mean, that Kangaskhan on the field does mean we have the potential to see another fake out this turn, but I think Ashton's still in a great spot.
Yeah, I don't think either of these people trainers are in a bad spot at all. I feel like they've spent maybe the first couple of turns just getting the feel for each other again. Obviously, Devon's got two new weird Pokemon to deal with by the meta standards, so he's still wanting to scout it out a little bit.
Definitely. We do see that Kangaskhan Mega evolving, possibly going for a fake out here to help buy Devin a little bit of time. Crobat, though, putting a stop in those plans, going for a quick guard. It does block the fake out into the Gardevoir slot. Gardevoir going for a Hyper Voice. So thanks to its pixelated ability, it is going to deal a significant amount of damage to that Kangaskhan. Does not deal as much to Groudon, who then decides to attack the Crobat instead of the Gardevoir, gets that crit and knocks it right out.
Yeah, and that's actually a good thing for Devon to get rid of in that turn. There is the potential. He had to use Quick Guard that turn to stop the fake out, but the next turn it could have been fooling around with Super Fang, and he doesn't want to have that happen to him because losing half health on something as bulky as your Groudon, something as hard to take out as your Kangaskhan, he doesn't want to lose that so easily. So a good turn for Ashton there. Of course, he doesn't get faked out. He does keep safe from that, and he does get some damage down with Pixelate. But I feel like Devon's got rid of something on his side of the field that really would have caused him problems in the next couple of turns.
Yeah, we do see Kyogre come in on Ashton's side of the field, so I'm pretty sure this is going to force Devon to switch out that Groudon this turn.
Yeah, with only one way to set the weather, Devon has to be a little bit smart, and we do, of course, see him switch and try and preserve the harsh sunlight for later.
Yeah, we do see Xerneas come in, which I think is a very interesting play. Xerneas does get that Fairy Aura ability, which will boost its Fairy-type attacks, but also that Gardevoir Sucker Punch from Kangaskhan going into Kyogre, so Gardevoir really is free to take advantage of that ability this turn and deal a massive amount of damage when paired with that Water Spout from Kyogre to both Pokemon. Kangaskhan getting knocked out, so not only will that Hyper Voice be boosted by Pixelate and by the Fairy Aura ability, it'll also do single target damage, and that is enough to pick up the knockout on that Xerneas.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of things went wrong for Devon in that turn.
I think a lot of things did go wrong.
He was kind of in like a catch-22 situation there. There was neither target to Sucker Punch that would really be good for him. If he left the Kyogre alone, of course, he gets a full health Water Spout off. So he thinks, oh, I've got to go for that. But he could have done some good damage, maybe picked up a little knockout on the Sucker Punch with a target on that Gardevoir, but it wasn't the ideal solution for him at all.
It wasn't, and we do see Devon send out his last two Pokemon. It is that Hitmontop with the Intimidate, not going to help it much here, and that Groudon. So at least he gets the sunlight up.
Yeah, he does have the weather up. Of course, Ashton still has the Pokemon advantage and the ability to switch around. I feel like when you play a team, particularly when most people play the team with just the one weather setter, if you show your weather Pokemon early, then you can get caught a little bit short when, you're not able to get it out and they're able to just switch around on you and bring it out. I think that's another reason Hitmontop's been so popular this season. It gives you options to really speed up that switching, and we do see Ashton go and preserve that Kyogre for later.
Yeah, but we do see him switch in the Groudon, which is, I think, an interesting play. Again, switching Groudon in on Groudon usually is something that trainers try to avoid, so it's possible that Ashton just wants to get his Groudon out of the way as quickly as possible so Kyogre can come back in and he can just seal up this match. It looks like that Gardevoir protects and feint from Hitmontop, breaks it, so it looks like Devon has his own secrets up his sleeve. Precipice Blades from that Groudon will connect with both Pokemon. Misses the knockout on both, but, punishing that protect that to saw the Tailwind as well, actually, was a very good play on Devon's part.
Yeah, Devon actually really gets himself back into the game with that feint play. Obviously, Ashton trying to preserve that Gardevoir for, another turn. Probably looking to just avoid a fake out. But Devon reads that really well, throws the feint into the protect, and then gets damage down onto Gardevoir that Ashton wasn't expecting at all. Both his Pokemon now nice and weak, and as you mentioned at the beginning of the turn, bringing Groudon on Groudon is really risky. He gets punished for it here.
Yeah, he really does. And, while it's true that Devon is down to his last two Pokemon, both of Ashton's Pokemon on the field right now are at such low health. It's all going to come down to speed on those Groudons, I think, to determine who's going to take damage this turn. Hitmontop going for a wide guard, so stopping any form of Hyper Voice. Ashton, though, calls it, going for the Psychic onto the Hitmontop. It deals a massive amount of damage and picks up that knockout. So here it is, Groudon versus Groudon. Looks like Devon's Groudon goes first. Will Precipice Blades connect with both Pokemon? It does. It is down to Kyogre versus Groudon now, but that was a really good turn for Devon. He sort of tied that up where he needed to tie it up.
Yeah, it wasn't ideal. He did, of course, lose the Hitmontop to a huge Psychic, and if he does manage to pull it through to Game 3, knowing that the Gardevoir has Psychic as well could be good information. We do see some of them, foregoing it for other weird and wonderful moves. But Ashton brings in the Kyogre last.
He does, but both of these Pokemon are weakened. Like, I really think this is going to come down to speed. It's going to be so close.
We can actually see that.
Well,
my point is null and void. They lock in their moves immediately,
Yeah.
and what actually happens is Ashton seals up the game with a nice quick scold coming out from his Kyogre here.
Definitely. So yeah, it did possibly come down to speed there. We didn't really get enough information about these Pokemon's, or these trainers' primal Pokemon to determine, was that Kyogre guaranteed that? Was it a speed tie? But definitely well played by Ashton. He was able to bring what I assume he really loves to play, and he made it work perfectly.
Yeah, I think he's shown that he's very solid with these kind of teams. I think he's played Gardevoir before. Definitely interested to see how Dragon Dance Gyarados fares in the rest of the tournament. And I think, Devin shouldn't get too disheartened by that loss at all. What he definitely needs to do there is just regroup, assume he's not going to play a team like that again. Unless he plays, of course, Ashton in the top cut. And then just move on from this loss.
Yeah, it's one of those losses where, on paper the matchup just wasn't really there. Ashton's a very good player. He knows this metagame really well. He knows what to bring to force people to play the game that he wants to play. And the best thing you can do is just put it behind you, take a deep breath, and go into round 5 just feeling confident that you brought the team you want to play, and now it's time to play the game your way.
Yeah, I think if you're in Devin's shoes as well, there's nothing to be too disheartened about, because I don't think he's going to be the only one today caught off by Ashton's weird and wonderful team. So
I think anybody would be caught off guard, really.
I think his resistance will be good going into those later rounds. Maybe we'll pick up one of these for the stream in a couple of rounds and see where we're at with it. But both of these players still very much in the running.
Still very much in the running indeed. And with that, we're going to call, I think, this round to a close. This was round 4. We'll be back with round 5 in a little while. Please stay tuned. Thanks, everybody.